Hey everyone, welcome back to Rhythm Railroad. This is a little video on my project here at Saratoga Springs. I've been working on this for the last few weeks, and I'm basically trying to get a feel of what Saratoga Springs Station is like and try to model it as best as possible here. Obviously, I don't have, the room required to get the entire station scene in here, but I'm trying to just get as close as I can to what I see in pictures and satellite images. So, the idea on my layout is that Saratoga Springs is basically the second level here, but this entire quadrant of the basement. So Saratoga Springs basically ends here at the street, at the grade crossing, and then it's somewhere else. And then over there, it goes on to points north, which would be, in my case, Fort Edward on that level. So again, I'm just trying to make this whole thing seem like, at least in the center here, the station section of the scene. So I was able to get some images printed out, and obviously I have some on my phone and on my computer that I've been looking at. But this is kind of what I'm going for. And the station is not a station that you would be able to buy as a kit from like Walters or something like that. It's not very busy looking, but it does have little quirky things that I'm trying to simulate as much as possible on what I'm scratch building here, or kit bashing. So, the generally speaking, the idea is that there's this really, really big kind of like concrete platform all the way through what would be 4 tracks. There are 2 tracks that are, I'm assuming, like the older tracks, and then there are the 2 main lines that this train is sitting on in this image. I have a satellite image that makes it look a little bit more clear. So as you can see, the 2 tracks closest to the station seem to be what the original ones were, and then it looks like these were the updated, more modern double tracks that were added later. But there's a big platform that not only goes between the 2 mains and the ones that are, embedded in the concrete here, but also, pardon me, there is a kind of like a rectangular section here that goes over the inside main. And it's hard to see in this image, but I've looked at it closer, and there is some kind of platform there. I'm assuming so that in case a train comes in on the further main line, you still have, the people can still cross the tracks without tripping over the ties and stuff. That's what I'm assuming it's for. But it's just that little section. So you can actually see where these white lines are. There's one here and there's one there. You can actually see that that's following the same line as the block that they've created as a platform here. So I've kind of done the same thing, and you can't really tell right now because the cars are in the way. But let me just separate the train here. So I've kind of simulated that whole thing. So I'm calling it main 2, the outside main. Main 1 would be with the tracks embedded in the concrete so that you can cross over to this platform. And then the main platform itself would be this entire chunk of concrete, which is all of this here. Now, obviously, in the picture that you see here, there's a bunch of different concrete pours. What I assume happened was that they poured, the concrete in the middle, and this was a separate pour here, and then this is a more modern pour in the middle here, so on and so forth. So you can see the different layers and the different colors in the gray of the concrete. Like, this one's a little bit more yellowish, and so on and so forth. But anyways, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna go crazy and start, literally pouring or creating separate things here. So what I'm gonna do instead is carve in lines that are going to kind of like make it look like they're separate things, and then just paint the different colors. So I might paint like once I get this section separated here, I might paint this like a lighter gray and leave this more like this yellowish kind of a concrete color. And by the way, I'm using this as like the base, which is the Woodland Scenics, pigment stuff. And this is called concrete, simply. C1217, I think that's the entire code. Yeah, C1217. And this was given to me, so I'm not sure if this is the price still, but this is a very old paint container that was given to me. Anyways, so the idea, besides the concrete pour and just getting the platform generally in place, is that I want to make sure I have enough tracks. And as you can see, I don't have the fourth track because, first of all, I would have to split the track again over there. And it was just getting too close to the curves. And I didn't want to come in too far with the second level because I have to have access down below. So I decided, you know what, I'll just get the feel for what the scene is and just have one track come in that's in there. And even though that track wasn't really used, or from what I can see, it's not really being used now, except for like, the D&H train that they could go in. I think it's like one of these tourist kind of trains. It's not like an Amtrak thing, but even though they're using that track for that particular purpose, I'm still going to use it for my Amtrak to get out of the way of the main lines, because it'll just, the original reason why I even did that was because I wanted to kind of alleviate the traffic from the freight trains coming back and forth. So I figure if the Amtrak station is gonna, or the Amtrak train is gonna make a stop at the station, it could stay here for a little while until a freight train goes by or whatever, and just makes the sessions a lot smoother. But after I did that, I decided then to go ahead and try to model this the right way. So that's why you don't see the fourth track. All right, so the last element of the scene is the actual station. So I was kind of like going back and forth when I added this track, in trying to figure out whether I should make these two the main lines and this the track that you see here. So I kind of flipped it around and then put the station back here, which would be better only because the scene would be behind the tracks. And so, if you put the building here, it doesn't matter the height because you're not blocking anything. By putting the building on this side, it creates a significant amount of blockage here from the train. But the more I thought about it, the more I found it to be interesting. First of all, because I like seeing trains go behind things like trees and obstacles and buildings and whatever it is. It just looks, to me, it looks a lot more realistic that things would be in the way naturally. But then I thought, hey, what if I had an open face building, kind of like a dissected version of what the actual station is. So you can kind of see through, and since there are so many windows in the actual station, I mean, you can see there's windows everywhere on the main level and on the upper level, at least in the center core of it. And you still have the kind of like a cupola, whatever that thing is on top, that has more windows. So I said, what if I went ahead and just kept this open, modeled the inside of the station, and this way the eye can peer, you can kind of see through the train coming in. I mean, I think that looks really cool. So that's what I went with. And so I was able to figure out, how much I actually wanted to model of the station. And the way I did that was I looked at the roof line and I said, well, it looks like there's a short roof that goes in front, like up in front of I guess it would be the back of the building. And then there's a longer roof line that droops down to where the parking lots would be, up here somewhere. You can see it better on the satellite image. So this is like this right now. So you can see that the roof line that goes toward the track is a lot shorter than the one that comes down to the parking lot here, or the receiving area here. So that's what I went with. I wanted to kind of do just the shorter part. So I cut out my, my building angles here so that when I put the roof line in, I can kind of mimic that. And then I'm only going up to that center line that you see on the picture. So the center line would be here. So in other words, the roof line is going to come up like this. You know, it's hard to show you with that, but I'm trying to find a flat piece, but whatever, I'll just do it with this. It would come up like this, and then obviously the roof line would be like this. The only thing I have to worry about is the center thing here that, you know, is not only sticking out the halfway point of the middle of the station, but also it's got this curved shape to it that's going to be really hard to make. I'm not really sure how I'm going to make that roof line like that with just styrene. I'm going to have to somehow shape it or maybe melt it into place somehow, like mold it. But that's the concept. And once I get the framework in, then I can go ahead and start the interior, you know, details. But I did get some interior pictures, and it's pretty basic. It's, you know, this is, from what I can see, it's a semi-modern station. It's not something that's like very traditional. So, you know, it's just plain white walls, very smooth, kind of like sheetrock finish. And there's very industrial looking beams and stuff holding up the roof. So it's not like there's a second floor here that I have to model like a separate thing up here. It's all open concept kind of thing. The only time it becomes a second floor is on either end. Actually, I think it's just on this end. This end has like a receiving area here or some kind of like a waiting area. But the only problem on this side is that there's like a bump out that I'm not sure how I'm gonna make, but you see this bump out here that's like looks like a semicircle that sticks out. I wanted to kind of model part of that here, but I might just go, I don't know. I got to figure how I'm gonna do that because that looks really hard to make, at least from scratch building. So that I'll decide later, but at least I know I have the general concept of what the station is going to look like. So what I'm going to do now that this basic shape is made, like the shell of the station, is that I'm going to take white styrene and basically just put an entire piece here, and then kind of like draw the window frames and the door frames and all that stuff, and then cut all those spaces out so that when I glue it on here, it's basically mirroring what you see here, all the shapes that you see here. And I'm doing that because that's kind of like what it looks like inside. It's just like, it almost looks like styrene walls because it's just plain white. And then obviously I might not even need to paint it because it's you know, it's that white inside the station. And then I have all these details that came with this kit anyway, that, you know, window details that are not exactly the way, you know, these window details are, but it's close enough. So I just want to kind of get the general feeling of what the station felt like inside, or feels like inside. So I looked around for, like I said, you know, it's hard to find these kits. Like, there's no Saratoga Springs Station kit that I could find anyway. And if somebody found one, don't tell me, because I already am way too far into this to be upset about there being one available. But what I did is I tried to look around with, you know, typical Cornerstone Walthers kits, which are, to me, like the easiest ones to put together. And I came across this building because it was the only one I could see that was kind of modern. And it had the big windows and the things that I needed to kind of like scratch build it or kit bash it. So even though you don't see what it, you know, it doesn't seem like what you see here that I made, what I ended up doing, because this is kind of like a modular kit, it's just a bunch of like smaller plates that you put together. What I did is I cut out the top part, that darker tan part. I cut it out so it was even. And then I also used, I think it was some of these side panels, or actually I think it was these front panels here, and I stacked them. So, you know, I obviously had to shrink them a little bit, so I had to cut part of them down. But as you can see, these two sets right here are separate pieces that I had to cut down to size. And then this bottom one here was actually 4 windows, which is basically this, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I had to do in order to create that bay window type bump out in the front here was that I had to kind of put it together first and then take, once it was together, then take my knife and cut out that entire section. So I literally just took this column out, and there was a bottom piece that had to come out also, but I had to make sure everything was glued in place first so that it wouldn't just fall apart. And then I took another, I don't even know where I got it from. I've been just taking this in pieces, probably from the back of the building or something. And I created this front window, or the shell of the window, just like that. So it's just like a frame. And then I took two leftover pieces that I had from cutting things apart, and I created the side fills here. So now all I got to do is put a roof on it, and the roof kind of like overlaps that anyway. So it's going to be like it's like a long and skinny kind of thing that goes all the way through, and it includes the bump out here. You can see it. So yeah, so the roof starts here and it goes all the way to the back, but the bump out's right here in the middle. And again, it's not perfect, and it's not exactly what is there on the station, but close enough for me. These doors are bigger, so I might widen them and maybe even make them a little higher. But when I looked at the interior shots of the station, they were more like double doors. And I think there's one on either side, so I'll probably do the same here on this side. And then obviously there's like a big lobby area here. There's a piano that I might, if I can find like a 3D printed piano, I'll put it here. There's a beautiful kind of like painting of like horses and stuff in the middle that I'm probably just gonna print it out and create some kind of decal and just put it here. Once I get a floor down, of course, I'll put it here. And they're very glossy floors, so I'll probably do like a glossy kind of finish on this once I finish painting it and detailing it. And then I just got to figure out kind of like how I'm gonna make this extension look. And like I said, the roof line is supported by these rods and pipes and things that are all green, and it's like a hunter green kind of thing, if I remember correctly. So that's hopefully going to be convincing enough to make it look like the inside of the platform. I might even add little lights here and there, so you can see interior lights the way it is on the actual station. But yeah, so that's going to be the end of that. And then I think once I add the tree line, so you can see, sorry, in this picture, there's like a massive tree line right in front of the tracks or right behind the tracks. So I'm basically going to fill, I have like a hill here. I'm basically going to fill all of this with, a tree line, and it'll kind of blend into that scene over there. So I'll probably, I don't know if I'm going to get like a photo backdrop behind it so it looks like it's even deeper with like a tree line kind of thing, and then put actual trees in front, because I have a lot of space to work with here. Whoops, there goes my station. But I have, I don't know, like 3 inches here that I can mess around with getting trees in there, full-size trees that are going to be thick enough so that you can't really see behind them. So I think that'll be easier to do than when you have a narrow space like what I did over there with the cliffs, where you don't have, you can't even stick a tree in there without having it like rub up against the train that comes by. So that's the plan. And of course I have a lot of work to do, even just with the platform itself. This is just one coat of this gray stuff. This concrete color, so it looks really sloppy right now, but I have to obviously touch it up and make sure that everything is at least closer to what it looks like on the image. But at least I know the track works. I've already tested it, and I went through it like on speed step 3 or 4, and it's it's going through there without any hesitation at all. So that's good news. And I did not use a Bright Boy or anything abrasive to clean the track after I had put the plaster on top and paint and all that stuff. So that's good news, because on my old layout, I did do that, and it really wrecked the track to the point where it was getting rusty all the time, and the trains were really hesitating getting through things like that. So I'm being much more careful with that stuff on this layout. This way I don't have to rip anything up and redo it. So more to come in the station. I will be posting videos as I make progress on this. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks.